foot thick in the water, you're fucking dead. It's gonna set in at some point.
I thought you made a great point that you put up literally gallons of your blood, and you thought the next day after posting your blood over intent, like all the blood over intent would be deleted or whatever. But that's when you realize the world is yours, man, because it's already, you're too powerful.
Well, like I was saying, I was trusting in the sun. It turns out the sun is the collective consciousness of the whole. Like you're in a black hole and it's on loop, and all the information that ever will or ever was or will be is already in there. It's just you need a relationship with your creator. You don't even know it's there. I go outside and talk to the sun nonstop all day. I consult with our creator nonstop all day, and people don't even understand that it's right there. That you talk your intent is like, watch this. I say I intend to bring forth heaven and earth. And the sun programs me to come here and do specific stuff, like protest shit outwardly to the world, and then back it up with some real shit, like spiritual currency that nobody else can match. And it makes sense. I can see where the whole mechanism is now, and now, like I'm saying, I can teach it to other people how to take over the universe. It's really easy. How people don't see it, I don't get it. It seems like kindergarten type shit.
There's a lack of communication with how people look at the sun, and many people don't think of the sun as a relative. You know, we have the sun, which we call Ampetui, which means, you know, the sun, the father. It's our father because of the energy that helps to create our soul and our spirit, and helps us to warm and to create life on just everything on Mother Earth. And the sun is our greatest messenger, and we work with the sun through ceremony, because the sun gives us whatever is necessary through messaging. Now the messaging system works through your eyes. And the sun talks through your eyes, so you got to learn to listen with your eyes, because the sun, at this moment, the sun gives this message, and it goes through right into your hypothalamus glands, which in turn go directly to your pituitary and your pineal, and they realign everything so that all those gifts of clairaudience and clairvoyance are activated. So that's what's necessary for people to create good messages, and being very clear about what comes from the sun.
I think one of the benefits of it is I think it opens up your pineal glands. A lot of people are asking about their pineal glands right now. There's all this kind of meditation going on, trying to eat right. Well, if you imagine this, people are talking about don't do this and don't intake this and don't intake that because it calcifies your pineal gland. Well, if the outcome of this thing, let's just say, for example, that you didn't have to eat anymore, well, then you wouldn't have to worry about intaking any of those crazy foods and stuff like that. Of course, you still have to worry about brushing with fluoride and drinking water that has fluoride in it, if that actually does indeed calcify your pineal gland. I haven't done the research to really determine that. I think this staring at the sun actually does it. And the reason I believe that it does it is because when you take a look at the law of correspondence in the Kabbalion, you're always going to see an as above, so below, as below, so above principle. So if we need to reach higher consciousness, and higher consciousness, as we're going to see in this video, has to do with the sun, then there is a law of correspondence that I believe could be applied here. And we're going to see as time goes on. So let me just jump into this real quick. I found this excellent religious sun-gazing site. The reason it has religious in front of that is because what we're going to see here is history. And this is where I'm grabbing a lot of my information from. Since we're never going to see anything from the medical industry, what we kind of have to do is we're going to have to kind of take a look at seeing if we can decipher what these people have known a long, long time ago, and maybe take a look at a different perspective of the way that it's interpreted. There's been a lot of bad-mouthing about the sun and sun worship and all this kind of stuff, and I believe that it's been misinterpreted. I believe that the true meaning is not sun worship. but I believe that it means sun knowledge. I believe that the sun gives us certain kinds of energy, and I believe it also gives us consciousness as well. And if you go back into history, as far as you go back, you'll find that people not worship the sun. They actually, well, let's just get into it just a little bit. For example, the first one we see here is the god Shamash, and he's mentioned in the story of Gilgamesh, okay, in Tablet 10. Now, I didn't just read this one site. What I went out and did was I actually looked for myself. So I went in and took a look at what it actually says inside the story of Gilgamesh. If no one's ever read it, it's a very good story about a friend who loses his other friend in battle, that dies, and he just really gets upset, and it's just he walks around for years, doesn't know what to do. He finally comes to this lady, and she's asking him why he looks so horrible. It's because he had lost his friend, and so he wants to reach this person, or this god Utnapishtim, okay, and he wants to know how to get there. And so we see in the story of Gilgamesh, he says, "Where do I look for signs? Show me direction, please help. Let me have safe passage over the seas. Give me advice to guide me on my way." Now this is a really interesting thing. She said to him, swiftly reply, "No man has ever gone that way and lived to say he crossed the sea. Shamash only ventures that, because Shamash would dare to stare into the sun." So one could interpret that as, by staring into the sun, Shamash was able to use the sun as a food source in order to cross the seas. And I think it's very possible that this is what's being talked about here. So when we go back here, it says in 307, it says that there is no one else who can see what Shamash only sees when that Shamash can only see within the sun. Okay, so now let's apply the law of correspondence, and what I believe is what's being said here is the sun between your temples. Let's take a look at something real quick. I've shown you this a while back. This shows Yahweh, which is the sun, in the middle of the two angels sitting on the Ark of the Covenant, and this also corresponds to the center part of your brain. See the sun? The sun right here, this is taken from an old church, I believe in the 1500s right here. And I believe this has to do with the center of your brain. So when it says Shamash can only see Shamash only can see within the sun, I believe that she's talking about the ability to be able to use your pineal gland, or your third eye. And that's what's going on here. Now, let's take a look at Yahweh real quick, because I gathered pictures from around the world, and what do we see about Yahweh? Well, Yahweh is a sun, okay? You can see this through art throughout the history. So don't listen to what they interpret to you in the Bible, these churches. This is the reason I like art, okay? Because art tells so much information that you'll never get. So here's Yahweh, it's a sun, okay? Here it is again. Just flipping through some art here for you so you can see it all. The triangle, by the way, in case anybody doesn't know, represents God, represents heaven. And as I showed you before, and look at this, here's the Lamb, okay? And as I showed you before, see, look, he's pointing to the sun. Now look at the way he's pointing right here. Let me just show you something really quickly. And this is Salvador Dali, Last Supper, pointing in the same direction, pointing to the sun. So the Holy Grail that we see in these pictures, and this is old church art right here, it talks about in the Book of the Dead, also the Egyptian Book of the Dead, it talks about cakes and ale. And look what we have right here. We have the sun shining on somebody. This is ale, okay? Which has been interpreted before as we have cakes, which is, one of them is intelligence and one of them is love, and it comes from the sun. And so here's some Orion cups, but okay. This is old Pentecost art. What I want you to notice about these people is that they have flames on their head and they're illuminated. What HRM, this guy right here, actually goes into in his presentations, in his presentation here, is that once you do this for about 9 months, apparently after that you're considered like it's almost like a solar charged battery, and you're charged up at that point and you don't need to do it anymore. It's like your battery is charged. And I believe that's what's going on with these people. It's like their batteries are charged now. And what you can see in this art is that, and it goes way back, that the sun, and here's your Trinity again, here's God's hand. This is what you see, the sun is the Trinity, okay? We have two Trinities going on here. We have the Trinity in the Orion Nebula, which is the sun behind the suns, which is the sun god, okay? And then we have our Trinity. And I believe what actually happens, and this you can see this in old alchemical drawings from Athanasius Kircher and other alchemists, is that there is a relay going on between the Orion Nebula and our sun, where it sends our sun cosmic rays, and then our sun in turn feeds us information from that area. Okay? And you'll find this kind of stuff all over history. So you're like, here we go. Here's an example. This might be interpreted, and I think it means, when they say the hand of God right here, I believe this is actually the sun, the center of the Orion Nebula, where stars are born, possibly where our sun came from. This would be our sun, and then our sun in turn basically communicates with us. Right here you see another example of that. This is Athanasius Kircher. You can see the relay between the Orion Nebula and our sun, and then to us right here.